Accessibility, installing MuseScore. In this lesson, I'm going to walk you through the installation of MuseScore on Windows using keyboard and screen reader. The process is going to be pretty similar between Windows and Mac OS and Linux, and so I'm demonstrating here on Windows using NVDA, which is, I think, probably the most popular configuration, but hopefully you can figure out how to adapt these instructions to other operating systems and other screen readers. So we're going to start the process on the website musescore.org. Not musescore.com, which is a score sharing site, but musescore.org, which is the actual support site for the software. So I'm here on musescore.org, and I want to get to the big download button in the main area of the site. And there's some bunch of other controls and things on this page. Rather than walk you through the whole page, let's get to the main content. The way I know to do that using NVDA is pressing D to move to the next landmark.
Main landmark.
So I'm in the main landmark now. Now I'm going to tab until I find the download button, and it should be the very first thing.
Download graphic free download link.
This is what I want. This is the button that is going to download MuseScore. Now, although I say it's going to download MuseScore, it's actually going to download a separate application called Muse Hub, at least on Windows and Mac OS. On Linux, it will download MuseScore directly. But on Windows and Mac OS, it's going to download the Muse Hub application, which is itself then an installer for MuseScore, as well as Muse Sounds. And so we're going to look at how to do that. So I'm going to press that free download button.
Untitled Google Chrome mark.
And this is now
Save as dialog. File name, combo box collapsed. Edit Alt plus N selected musehub.exe.
There you go. So musehub.exe is the file it is offering to download into my downloads folder. So I'll go ahead and hit enter to accept that.
Free music downloading, 0% remaining alert. Free music composition and notations, download complete. Musehub.exe.
So it's
press Shift plus F6 to cycle to the downloads bar area.
Great. Now
Alert.
I know how to do that.
Free
Shift
music
plus
composition and
Shift plus F6. It even told me. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to figure out how to do that. So Shift plus F6 will get me to the downloads area.
Downloads bar grouping. Musehub.exe grouping. Musehub.exe button. Musehub.exe.
Great. So this musehub.exe is the installer for MuseHub. So I want to go ahead and say that I want to run this. So I'll press space.
Space. Window dialog. Secure desktop. User account control dialog. User account control. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? MuseHub installer.
And yes, we do. So this is the dialog that comes up to say, yes, we want to install MuseHub. There's a yes and a no in here, as you probably are aware. I'm going to hit the left arrow to move over to yes.
Yes button Alt. Y.
And now I will press enter to press that button.
Unknown. Unknown.
So it is now installing MuseHub. There is a visual dialog box on the window saying that it's getting ready, installing and launching and so forth. And it has just finished, and now it's going to launch the MuseHub.
MuseHub. Desktop child site bridge. Home tab selected 1 of 5 level 1.
All right, so we are now in the MuseHub. The act of installing it, it installed and ran itself automatically, so it's running. Before I go any further, I need to tell you that if you are on Windows, this MuseHub is not a standard application that you would access from the taskbar. It is an app, it has some special name, but it's run from the system tray. So if you're ever trying to find this again, know that it's going to be in the system tray, just like NVDA itself is. So what we have across the top here is a row of, there's like a menu, and we're on home right now. Let me just cycle through the different things in the menu, and then we're going to come back to home.
Sounds tab 2 of 5 level 1, Effects tab 3 of 5 level 1, Inspiration tab 4 of 5 level 1, Settings tab 5 of 5 level 1.
So I was using the right cursor to do that. If I hit right cursor again, nothing happens, so I guess I got to hit left to get back to home.
Inspiration, effects, sounds, home tab selected 1 of 5 level 1.
So the Home tab is where we actually are going to want to be. And this is now it's a table with 3 rows in it. The first row, I'm going to hit down. Actually, I think I have to hit tab. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to have to hit tab to kind of enter the main area of the Muse Hub.
Apps grouping, get MuseScore button 1 of 3, button.
So this apps area here allows you to download a variety of apps, of which MuseScore is the first one. There's also Audacity and StaffPad, which are 2 other apps that you can download from the Muse Hub. So if I hit the right arrow,
get Audacity but get StaffPad button 3 of 3.
So you can hear that there was Audacity and StaffPad. I'm going to go back to MuseScore by hitting left.
Get MuseScore button 1 of 3. Button.
This is the button that we're going to use to download and install MuseScore. But I'm going to not do that. I think it might be a little simpler to get Muse Sounds first. Assuming you want to get Muse Sounds, this same Muse Hub is going to do it. The advantage of doing Muse Sounds first is that it won't close the hub. The hub will still stay open while you're downloading sounds, whereas as soon as we download and install MuseScore, it's going to take us off to MuseScore land, and then it's going to be a little hard to come back to the hub to get the sounds. So I'm going to just show you how to get some sounds first. I am going to hit, now I'm in the apps area, I'm going to hit down arrow to move to the next area.
Featured grouping, MuseScore grouping, view MuseScore button.
So we are in this featured area, and there's sort of a random assortment of things in here. That was a button to download MuseScore, which is the same thing we had before. There's also like 1 or 2 specific Muse sounds that show up in this grouping. I don't want to use this. I want to get down to the main Muse sounds grouping. So I'm going to hit down arrow again.
Muse sounds for MuseScore grouping, view Muse brass button.
So this is what I'm going to want. I want the Muse Sounds for MuseScore grouping. And I'm going to use the right arrow to just sort of move through the different sounds here. So that was brass.
View Muse harp button.
And then
View Muse woodwinds button. View Muse choir button. View Muse keys button. View Muse strings button. View Muse percussion button. Featured grouping. Muse strings grouping. Muse strings.
All right, I guess right arrow took me back up to the featured grouping. So
Muse sounds for MuseScore grouping.
There we go. I'm back down to the Muse Sounds grouping. So in order to get one of these, I'm going to go ahead and hit right arrow to move to harp. Harp is actually the smallest of all the sounds, and so it downloads very quickly. So I'm going to hit right arrow to get back to harp.
View Muse harp button.
So it says this is the View Muse Harp button. And if I press this button, it's just going to pop up a dialog with more information about Muse Hub. About Muse Harp. What I want to do is I want to get to the Get button that's below this. So I'm going to press Tab that I think, actually let me try down.
Get Muse Harp button.
There we go.
Get button.
The down arrow took me from harp to the actual get button. So this will now download and install Muse Harp. And it's relatively small, so it should go pretty quickly. So I'm going to press the get button here.
Space. Home tab selected 1 of 5 level 1.
So you're hearing the progress indicator here telling us that it is downloading Muse Harp, and it's going to be done within a matter of seconds before I even finish this sentence probably. So I'm just going to let it finish, and then I'm going to download MuseScore. And there we go, it's done. So I'm now back up, you heard it read home, I'm back up to kind of that menu at the top. So I'm going to have to press tab now to get back to the top row of the actual Muse Hub, which is the apps area.
Apps grouping. Get MuseScore button 1 of 3. Button.
So that's what I want to do. So far, I've just downloaded and installed Muse Harp, and you heard how, it just took a few seconds there. But I will say, if you download all of those, the brass and the woodwinds and the piano, or the keyboards it's called, and strings, it's going to take potentially over an hour to download all of these. It's 15 gigabytes. However fast your internet connection is, that's how long it's going to take. So I would recommend just grabbing maybe harp, maybe grab keys, the Muse keyboard or whatever it's called that has the piano sounds in it, because then you can get started hearing Muse sounds, and that won't take very long either. But in any case, after you've downloaded whatever Muse sounds you want, now we're going to download MuseScore. So I'm on the MuseScore button, and I'm going to go ahead and press it.
Space.
It is now downloading MuseScore, and we're going to hear the progress indicator again. And this also won't take very long. It's just going to be a few more seconds here. Almost done. And now it says installing MuseScore. And when it's done installing MuseScore, we're going to want to go through a little bit of a setup process here. So it's still actually running through installing. It's done downloading, but it's installing, and it's not beeping to give me the progress indicator. But it is now actually starting up MuseScore.
MuseScore 4 window. Getting started window. Getting started. Welcome to MuseScore 4. Let's get started by choosing a theme. Next button.
So this is a wizard that's going to just walk us through a couple of screens of initial setup in MuseScore. So it says let's get started by choosing a theme. There's two themes to select from here, light and dark. And there's also a button to enable high contrast. And there's also color selections here. So if you would be aided by having a dark theme, high contrast theme, that this is intended for people with low vision, we can actually do this right here in the very first screen. So I'm going to hit Tab to kind of move through the controls here.
Follow system theme checkbox not checked.
So that will follow whatever your system theme is set to, whether you are using light or dark or some other custom themes set up.
Light radio button checked.
By default, the light theme will be checked.
Red 43%, green 68%, blue 91%, radio button checked.
So we've now moved directly from the radio buttons. Since I pressed Tab, I've moved past the radio buttons into the color selector. I actually want to get back up and select dark. So I'm going to hit Shift Tab.
Light radio button checked.
Now I'm going to hit the right arrow to get over to dark.
Dark radio button not checked.
There we go. I'm going to select it by pressing space.
Space.
And now I have a dark theme. Now I'm going to press Tab again.
Red 12%, green 57%, blue 99%, radio button checked.
This is, there's a series of buttons here. You can use the cursor keys to move through them to select the particular accent color you want to use if that's going to make a difference. Now I'm going to press Tab again.
Enable high contrast checkbox not checked. Further high contrast settings are available in Preferences.
So if I check this box here by pressing space, it's going to alter the user interface, and if you have any vision going on, you'll be able to see what's happening here. It's basically drawn boxes around all of the controls, done a variety of things to create a high contrast environment to aid low vision. I'm now done with this screen. I'm going to hit Tab again, and it's going to take me to the next button.
Next button.
So now I'm going to press space to click that button.
Space. Playback. Enjoy realistic playback for free by downloading our new Muse Sounds library. Next button.
So this is just a screen that's telling you about Muse Sounds. If I hit the left, so it says next button, that's what's selected. There's nothing else to do here except watch a video. And if you hit the left arrow,
watch video button,
that's the button to watch the video. And you can do that if you like. It's just a demonstration video about Muse Sounds. But I'm going to go ahead and hit right to get back to the next button.
Next button.
And now I'm going to press space to actually press the button.
Space. Video tutorials. Behind this dialog is the Learn section, where you'll find tutorials to get you started. Video tutorials require an internet connection. Finish button.
So yes, there's nothing to do on this screen. It's just telling you that once we hit finish, we are going to be on a page in which there's some tutorial videos. So let me go ahead and press that finish button by pressing space.
MuseScore 4 window. MuseScore 4. MuseScore 4. Main toolbar direction is horizontal panel. Home radio button checked.
So we are on what is called the home page here. And there's a bunch of tutorials here, and I am going to walk you through a little bit about the home page. This particular page that we're on, you are generally not going to see again unless you choose to come back here. The home page we will see every time we start MuseScore, but it's going to be a different section of the home page. that is designed not to show you tutorials, but to show you your recent scores. So what I'm going to do is hit Tab to move into this sidebar.
Home menu direction is vertical panel. My account radio button not checked.
So there's my account here.
Scores radio button not checked.
And I'm using down to move through this panel since it said it was a vertical panel. Scores is going to, this is where if I check this, it's going to be a list of all of my recent scores. Let me hit down again.
Plugins radio button not checked.
If I click this, there will be a list of plugins that I can enable. Let me hit down arrow again.
Learn radio button checked.
And this is telling me that I'm currently on the Learn page within the Home tab. And the Learn page is where there's a bunch of tutorials. By the way, about the plugins, this is not like audio plugins. We're not talking VST plugins. Those plugins are plugins that provide extra functionality, like there's a plugin to do things like add courtesy accidentals. There's a plugin that will do retrograde. If you select a passage, it'll reverse it, things like that. There's some plugins that can provide extra functionality in there. I'm going to press Tab to move into the tutorial area here.
Learn panel, search edit blank.
There's a search button, obviously. Tab again.
Learn tab bar panel, get started radio button checked.
And press Tab one more.
Get started direction is both panel, announcing MuseScore for a gigantic overhaul.
So direction is
MuseScore button.
Sorry. Direction is both, meaning this is like a grid. So it's a row, it's a grid with rows and columns. So the cursor keys, left, right, up, down, will move you throughout this grid, and you can access all of the different tutorials here. The tutorials here are what I would consider good basic tutorials that can tell you a lot of things for getting started, but I have some special accessibility tutorials that will follow this one that are really more geared to how to do things with keyboard and screen reader. The last thing that I want to do here before we leave this installation is I want to complete a little bit more about customization of the user interface here for people with low vision. So if I go to the Edit menu, I'm going to press Alt-E.
Preferences.
There's only one thing in the Edit menu that's actually enabled right now because most of the rest of the items here are only enabled once we've actually created a score. Preferences is what I want though, so I'm going to press Enter.
Preferences window. Preferences, languages panel, system default combo box.
So we are on a section in which you can choose a language. So first of all, if English is not your best language, you can choose another language in here using that combo box. But what I want to do is I want to get to a left side panel here where I can get to the appearance here. So I'm going to press Shift-Tab to get to the left side panel. At least I think that's going to do it.
General not selected.
Good. I want to move down until I find Appearance.
Appearance not selected.
That's the one I want. So I'm going to now hit Tab to move into the Appearance area of the dialog.
High contrast themes panel, white radio button not checked.
So remember there was a light and a dark, and I had chose the dark theme. So if I hit the right button right now, it'll show me that black is selected.
Black radio button checked.
And the reason it's white and black as opposed to light and dark is that I enabled the high contrast theme. And so that changes it from being just kind of a lighter gray and a darker gray to actually literally black and white. I'm going to move through some of the other controls in here because there's a couple other controls that I think you'll find, some of you will find useful anyhow. I'm going to press Tab.
UI colors panel, accent color, button.
So I pressed Tab and it moved me all the way down to this next little area. Let me press Shift-Tab again to get back where I was.
High contrast themes panel, white radio button not checked.
One thing to know about MuseScore is that it is optimized so that Tab doesn't move through every single control. Instead, there's some kind of groupings where within a grouping the cursor keys will move through the controls. And then furthermore, F6 will move between larger groupings. And I'll talk about that in another lesson here. But for now, I just want to show that there's a couple other controls in here that we've actually already seen. I'm going to hit the down arrow.
Follow system theme checkbox not checked.
And so that took me to where these checkboxes are. There's follow system theme and
Enable high contrast checkbox checked.
there you go. So there was also enable high contrast. The same options we saw before, but here we're able to reset those if we kind of don't like the choice we made before. So now I'm going to hit tab to move to the next area.
UI colors panel, accent color, button.
So there's a number of colors that we can set here. There's accent color, and now I'm going to hit, there's actually 4 buttons here arranged in a little grid, and I'm not sure how the cursor is going to work, but we'll find out. I'm going to hit, so that was accent color, and it's currently kind of a blue. I'm going to hit the right arrow.
Text and icons, button.
And the text and icons is currently set to a yellow. I'm going to hit the right arrow again.
Accent color, button.
Yeah, and it just took me back to accent color. So now I'm going to hit down since this is a little grid of buttons.
Disabled text, button.
And this is showing, this is allowing you to select the color for disabled text, for text that's grayed out. And it's actually pretty black right now. And I'm going to hit right.
Border color, button.
And this is what draws the border. So it's set to white right now, and it's drawing borders around all of the different buttons. And so that's where you can change that color. Now, so any of those colors, depending on any particular vision issues you have going on, those might be interesting buttons to play with. But I'm going to hit tab now to move to another area that I think you'll find even more useful.
Appearance panel, font face, Sego UI combo box.
So this is a combo box where you can select what font you actually want to use for the user interface. So if there's a particular high visibility font that you are comfortable with, you can choose it here. And if I hit tab,
background panel, color, radio button checked.
So this is, I skipped over again. I hit tab and it took me to the background color area. Let me hit shift tab.
Appearance panel, font face, Sego UI combo box.
So I don't want to do the font face necessarily, but I do want to show you changing the text size. So I'm going to need to use the cursor keys to get to the text size.
Body text size, 12 pt, edit selected 12.
I actually pressed right arrow to get to the text size. So it's set to 12 points right now. I can change that. I'll just hit the up arrow a few times.
13, 14, 15. 16.
And so you can make the font size larger in here, which again, for low visibility, this could be a very useful thing. Now I'm going to hit tab and just go through the rest of this box, but it was really the body text size that I was most interested in showing you.
Background panel, color, radio button checked.
So the background is what shows up behind your score. By default, it's going to be a color, but you can also change it. If I hit the down arrow,
wallpaper, radio button not checked.
You can also change it to a wallpaper, which is like a graphic that's designed to look like some fancy wallpaper. I'm gonna hit down arrow again.
Color, radio button checked.
All right, that's all for the background area. So now I'm gonna press tab.
Paper panel, color, radio button checked.
So background is not the background of your score itself. It's the background kind of behind the paper. If you happen to view past the edge of the page. But here's where we can set the paper color. And right now it is set to white. We can change that here, but hold on a second. I'm going to hit down arrow.
Wallpaper, radio button not checked.
So again, you can select a particular graphic to use to give a textured paper look on screen if that is something you like. I think that's it for the paper section. I'll press down arrow again.
Color, radio button checked.
But now I'm going to press tab.
Invert score checkbox not checked.
This is a useful button here, invert score. Right now, that paper, even though I've picked a dark theme, the paper is white and the notation is going to be black as soon as we see an actual score. And, that's the normal look of a page is black print on white paper. But depending on what's going on with your vision, you might find it easier to have a black background, to have the actual score itself be black and have the paper be black and have white notes and white staff lines, etc. If I press the invert score button,
space,
I've now selected invert score, and that is going to give me a white notation on black paper. If I now press down arrow,
Reset to default button.
there's a reset to default button. Press down arrow again.
Invert score checkbox checked.
So that is it for this panel. Let me press tab.
OK button.
And that is it for the entire dialog right now. So if I press OK right now, I'm back in the, that was a dialog that just closed. I'm back in the Learn section here. So at this point, we are done installing and setting up MuseScore. And if you are now ready to try to create a score, we can do that. I can press Control N to create a score, and I'm going to cover that process in another lesson.